April 2025, three African presidents signed a deal so bold it sent silent shockwaves through Western capitals. No press conference, no IMF handshakes, no Western consultants. Just steel, signatures, and a promise. We'll build it ourselves. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. Together, they announced a high-speed railway connecting their capitals. But here's the twist. Not a single cent is coming from the World Bank, the IMF, or any former colonial power. But how did they make it possible? Let's find out.
In April 2025, something unusual happened in West Africa. Three nations, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, led by their military-led governments, signed a deal to build a mega-rail network linking their capitals and key trade hubs. There was no fanfare, no global donor announcement, no IMF logo. Instead, steel rails, regional cooperation, and a promise to build without external dominance. This is not just infrastructure, it is a statement of sovereignty. Tonight we examine how the alliance of Sahel States is rewriting Africa's rails, and what it means for the continent and beyond. The Sahel region, landlocked, underserved, driven by decades of dependency and conflict. Transport costs are high, borders porous, roads vulnerable. A rail link offers change, cheaper freight, more reliable movement, integration across Burkina, Mali and Niger. For landlocked Niger and Burkina, access to ports and markets has long been constrained. A dedicated rail corridor could slash costs and connect markets. Yet historically, such projects were funded and controlled by Western donors or colonial-era actors. This time feels different. In a sealed ceremony in Ouagadougou, the heads of state agreed to a rail corridor stretching hundreds of kilometers, linking Ouagadougou, Burkina, Bamako, Mali, and Niamey, Niger. The funding model, regional resources, national budgets, private sector participation, with no IMF or World Bank financing announced. The reason, the AES countries have formally exited the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and are seeking new development paths. Construction will be standard gauge, modern rail systems, connecting mines, agriculture zones, urban centers, and export corridors. The feasibility study for the Sahel Railway Network hints at long-term vision. This deal is more than steel and sleepers. It is geopolitics. The Sahel states are sharpening their independence. They're moving away from traditional Western frameworks and seeking new alliances. The formal exit from ECOWAS and formation of AES signals shift. Rail is symbolic. A rail network built with their own resources says, "We choose our own future." The West will watch closely. Investment, influence, and power can travel on rails too. What does a megarail mean economically? Freight costs could fall by up to 40% in some corridors historically dependent on truck transport. A rail corridor will unlock agriculture, mines, industry in landlocked states. With faster logistics, export prospects improve. Job creation, from rail construction, maintenance, logistics to rail-linked industries. The ripple effect, new urban clusters, manufacturing hubs, agro-processing zones. The challenge, funding, governance, security. A rail line through Sahel terrain must contend with insurgency, corruption, and harsh environment. Mega-projects always entail risk. For the Sahel Rail, security risk, high insurgency in Niger, Mali border zones. Funding without IMF or major global donor may reduce conditionality but tighten national risk. Currency fluctuations, inflation, supply chain disruptions loom. Technical capacity, building modern rail to global standards demands expertise, procurement transparency, maintenance systems. Regional coordination, 3 countries, multiple languages, different regulations. Complexity is real, but a key advantage. Start from scratch model allows leapfrogging older rail systems rather than being tied to legacy European standards. In Ouagadougou, contractors survey route alignments. In Bamako, logistics hubs are being planned. In Niamey, agricultural zones anticipate new rail sidings. Meet Aminata, a small-scale trader in Bamako whose goods now travel by truck for 5 days. She anticipates rail could cut transit to 2. She sees hope. But local residents also raise concerns: land acquisition, environmental impact, displacement. These leaders emphasize compensation frameworks and community participation. For many citizens, the real test won't be signing ceremonies. It will be when a train passes through their town. How are global observers reacting? Western capitals quietly monitor. Some see the move as a challenge to donor-led models. Others caution about governance and debt risk. Regional neighbors observe too. Other landlocked states may consider similar corridors. Populist sentiment is rising. We build our future. Export corridors. If complete, the rail would connect to ports via Ghana, Ivory Coast or Togo, transforming trade flows. In short, the rail a potential game changer, not just for the Sahel, but for African integration. Key milestones in next year's groundbreaking ceremony and first steel laid. Procurement of rolling stock. Track manufacturing. Export corridor connections to Atlantic ports. Regional trade volumes rising along the corridor. Watch also how funding evolves. Will private investment join? Will non-Western financiers step in? In a region of high uncertainty, the rail's success will hinge on security, execution, and regional cooperation. From tracks to trade, from landlocked to connected, the Sahel's silent revolution is on rails. When Burkina, Mali, and Niger decided, we build it ourselves, they made more than an infrastructure pledge, they made a political choice. The question now, will the trains run? Will the promise of integration, sovereignty, and economic transformation be delivered? What happens next won't just affect these 3 states, it will reshape how Africa builds its future.